Welcome back to the Marching Arts Network. My name is Kanan, and I would like to welcome you to this episode where I'm going to be taking a deep dive into a little series I'm going to be doing, taking a deep dive into particular drum and bugle corps. So if I were to say to you that the Blue Devils have 21 titles, the Cadets had 10, Cavaliers have 7, Santa Clara has 7, Madison 2, Phantom Regiment 2, Anaheim Kingsmen 1, Star of Indiana 1 title between them. Bluecoats have 1 title. What would you say if I told you there was another drum corps out there that had 8 DCI championships? And also, what would you say if I told you that one of the corps on that list actually has 1 more title, world championship title to their name than what it says on the old Wikipedia? So if you're kind of been around the activity for a while, you might know the corps that I'm thinking of. But who would that one corps be? That would actually be Carolina Crown. And the other corps that I'm thinking of is, with 8 DCI World Championships to their name, is the Sacramento Mandarins. Carolina Crown also has a second DCI title if you count Division 2, and I say you should count Division 2, Division 3, Open Class, whatever it's called these days. A championship is a championship. Excellence is excellence, and it should be recognized. So what I wanted to do with this particular series is just sort of take a little bit of a deep dive of some existing drum corps and have a look at kind of, how did they get to where they are now? So the Mandarin story actually goes back quite a long ways. The corps was founded in 1963. Their current director is J.W. Kester, who, if you go back in the, I might put a link to it here at the end of the video, whatever, joined me and Justin for 2 episodes of the podcast, which we're really excited about. We're hoping to get him on again during the season, but obviously he is pretty busy. But yeah, the corps was founded in 1963 in Sacramento, California. Those who know me, those who know Justin, will know that I marched in the Sacramento Freelancers, as did Justin. So the Mandarins, to me, are a corps that actually means an awful lot. It's a corps that we toured quite extensively with, that we were very, very close with, that we were very, very fond of. And I think that the 2 organizations between the Mandarins and the Freelancers really did have a genuine fondness for each other. And we used to do little things for each other that a lot of people didn't even know what we were doing. So, for instance, my first year with the Freelancers was 1987. And we'd just come back from folding in 86. It was kind of a big deal that we were even back on the field. And I remember the first time I ever heard it, it was at the Sacramento home show. And we were lining up on the field. We were going on last. It was the only time we went on last that entire season because it was obviously our home show. And just as we're getting ready to hit the field and do our thing, I hear out of the back stands, "Live from Sacramento." And I turned around, looked around. And there was this group in the back stands that didn't quite know who they were. I was a rookie. I didn't know much about drum corps at the time. And then throughout the season, we would also hear little things like "Andale, andale, play ball" coming from the back stands. All Freelancers hype chants, I guess, is what for lack of a better word. And it was the Mandarins in the back stands cheering us on. It's doing something for the Freelancers. It was a really, really big deal. The way that we would return that favor is during retreats, because back then every show had full retreats, is every time that the Mandarin score was announced, regardless of placement, every time that the Mandarin score was announced, the Freelancers would come to attention. We made it a point as well as we were coming off the field. Obviously, them being a Division 3 corps at the time, or A60 corps even is what it was called back then. They would troop the stands first before us, and they would always march in front of our corps. And we made it a point as they came by, we came to attention as a drum corps. It was quite a fond relationship between the two organizations. Now, obviously, my corps, the Freelancers, ceased to exist after the 1994 season, but the Mandarins have carried on. They've really just gone from strength to strength. So where did it all start? It all started in 1963 when they were founded as the Yiwa Drums and Lyres Corps. It was an activity primarily geared towards the Chinese American community. Oops, sorry about that. The Chinese American community in Sacramento area. It was originally ostensibly put together as a youth activity for the Chinese American kids in Sacramento. They, for the first couple of years, kicked around a lot of local festivals and so on and so forth. And then in 1965, they came out for the first time as a competitive unit. They stayed exclusively in Northern California until 1970, when they made their first trip to Southern California. And ever since then, they have represented the Sacramento area on the DCI tour. Some of the highlights of the early years was them in 1974. They took a trip to Hawaii, and they marched in the King Kamehameha. I think is it Kamehameha parade. They also made their first trip to the Pacific Northwest and Canada in 1978. And their first appearance at DCI World Championships was 1978 in Denver. So in 1983, however, is where the Corps really started to ramp up success competitively. They won their first DCI World Championships in 1987 with a first place score of 85.3. By winning again in 1988. Should be noted that both in 1987 and 1988, the Corps had very, very, very small brass lines. They went on to win another championship in 1996. However, it should be pointed out that in that period between 1988 and 1996, the Corps never placed lower than fourth place in Division 2 and 3. So again, this was just a period of great success for the Corps. 1996, 7, 8, and 99, they actually completed the four-peat that Blue Devils are trying to do this year. So everybody keeps saying, nobody's ever won 4 championships in a row. Well, actually, I'd argue with you that the Mandarins did it back in 1996, 7, 8, and 9. Finally, they won again in 2001. In 2003, the Corps moved up to what was then called Division 1, now called World Class, with an 18th place finish, followed up by a 20th place finish, and they made DCI World Class semifinals for the first time in 2005, placing 17th both in 2005 and 2006. The Corps then knocked about between, say, 19th and 21st place until 2011, where they made DCI semifinals, and they have never dropped out of DCI semifinals since. So the first, however, major success for the Drum Corps, competitively I should say, was 2018 in their amazing show, Life Right After. Which is the show that we're going to have a look at in this particular video, where they placed 10th place in the DCI World Championships. Followed it up in 2019 with another 10th place finish. And then the period of time that everybody wishes never happened, the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Obviously, we lost the 2020 season. They did come out in 2021 with a very, very strong showing. I should say a very, very great show in 2021 with Beyond the Canvas. They again placed 10th in 2022. And then last year, absolutely lit the drum corps world on fire with their show Sinnerman and a 6th place finish. And when you look at the success of Mandarins, I think that when we're talking about competitive success, I should say, you have to go back to, I think, around 2014, I think it was when J.W. Kester came onto the scene. But outside of J.W. Kester, the Mandarins decided to really turn things up and become more of a community-based organization. Long gone was the time where it was primarily just, Asian American kids in the corps. It was open to everybody, boys, girls of all races and genders. And 2014, they developed a partnership with my alma mater, Sacramento State University, whereby they started the Mandarins Academy, which was a program designed to teach the youth in Sacramento how to play instruments, how to march, how to be successful musicians. So where is the Mandarins today? Well, the Mandarins today are doing their show Vieux Carré, I believe is how you say it. I could be wrong. And it's a great show. I'll have a little bit of video of it playing over the top of me here. Really nice show, some good moments in it. Early season, hard to say where it's going to finish. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably, I'm predicting them for top 5. I've got them for probably about a 5th place finish. But I think that between 5th, 6th, and 7th, it could be anyone's ball game between Mandarin, Santa Clara, and of course Phantom Regiment. So, but yeah. So what we'll do is we'll have a little look at now Life Right After by the Mandarins 2018. What I would ask as well before we do that, though, is that if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please do us a favor. Just hit the subscribe button down below. It does us a huge favor. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it's just a great way to support the channel. Myself, Justin, and Jen will be recording this week's podcast tomorrow. I'm recording this on Saturday, the 6th of July. So we'll have all the Saturday results and be able to talk about some relevant stuff. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy. Let's have a look at Life Right After. I'll give you my thoughts and we'll take it from there. So I've had to re-record this little section, but only because... so for those of you who don't know, I live in the north of England now, and it's really cold here, actually. We've had nothing but storm and rains for the last week or so, and we've only had about a week of summer here, and by summer I mean high 70s, low 80s. It's been pretty ridiculous. So it's actually quite cold here, and I'm actually coming down with a little bit of a cold, I think, and my wife has lovingly made me a homemade Starbucks hot chocolate. I'm really quite made up with that. So thank you, Mrs. C. Yeah, so let's talk about Life Right After. So it was 10th place with a score of 88.15. The repertoire was String Quartet number 8 in C minor, Opus 110, specifically by Dmitri Shostakovich, Spirity by Thomas Doss, and True Colors by Tom Kelly and Billy Steinberg. The show was quite trippy. It was... to this day, I don't really know what it was about, but I do know that I like it. So how about I shut up and enjoy my hot chocolate, and you guys watch some drum corps, and I'll talk about it a little bit, and we'll take it from there. How does that sound? Right, here we go. So we're going to press this button right here. And now you know where I get all my knowledge from. All right, okay, here we go. And we'll make that nice and big and press play. Here we go. Trying to figure out how to drink this without, not looking cool on camera.
While I was still composing the first, I had dreamed a scene of pagan ritual. I had dreamed a scene in which a chosen sacrificial virgin dances herself to death.
A really trippy show this one is. the height of professionalism here. Just watch the show. Don't watch me drinking my hot chocolate. It's not exactly happy-go-lucky, I'll give you that. The other thing that should be noted as well is that this didn't happen overnight. I mean, Mandarins were pushing, for top 12 for a good 2 or 3 years prior to this year. So this was the culmination of probably 3 or 4 solid years before. Always a big fan when drum corps use a lot of the field as well. Those that have watched the podcast this year will know that I've kind of bagged on Blue Devils a bit this year because their show's so compact visually. I do like it when a drum corps uses the entire field. We've got 100 yards for a reason. Oh, lovely Sforzando moment there. Nice rifles. That, kids, is why we do basics. Their color guard was super solid that year. Excuse me. Wow, cool. Oh, nice use of the field there again. Makes me happy that it's my biggest pet peeve in design is super compact design. No. Wow. It's kind of weird hearing True Colors in a minor key. On a completely different and related note, it was Glastonbury last weekend, and I just watched the Cyndi Lauper set from Glastonbury. 70 years old, and she's still kicking it. That's right, Gen Xers. Cyndi Lauper is 70. Let that sink in for a bit. I feel like Mandarins have had a really solid battery program now for a good 5 or 6 years. I know they had, was it Mike Jackson was there for quite a while. I believe he's, well, I know he's not there anymore, but they haven't lost anything since his departure either. If anything, they've gotten better. Yeah, I hear you, mellophones. Wow, that was a super cool brass feature, that. That was wicked. Really nice visual moments there.
For the first time, her heart began to beat. In the life right after.
Oh, that was cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, under the direction of Jim Kabuki and J.W. Custer, the Mandarins.
That was just a really, really cool show. I really enjoyed that show. I still don't quite know what it was about, but I enjoyed the show nonetheless. Let's have a quick look at the captions, shall we? So looking at the captions here, Mandarins, in looking at, so we got GE1, which I believe is visual, GE2 is music, 10th in GE1, 9th in GE2. Yeah, it was a really solid musical book there. Actually, no, we had 4 GE judges, didn't we? So anyway, overall 10th in GE. Looking at the next caption, which is, of course, visual. We had visual proficiency analysis and, of course, color guard. Proficiency 9th, analysis 9th, color guard 9th. So overall 9th in visual. GE, or sorry, in the music captions, I don't know about this. 11th in brass. We got 11th in analysis. 11th in both. Okay, anyway. So overall, we took 11th in music. Somehow the percussion came in 12th, which I find a little bit perplexing because I thought they were pretty solid. I think the brass score was a little bit low, if I'm honest with you. But again, we were a first time ever DCI finalist. And the simple fact is the way that scoring works these days, it is a rank and rate. So I think the number doesn't really mean as much as the spread. But yeah, so that was the 2018 Mandarins. So in my next How Did They Get Here episode, I'm going to be taking a look at one a little bit different. And that is, I'm going to look at our friends from Jersey Surf. So if you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if, like I said earlier in the video, if you could make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, hear your thoughts on the Mandarins. If you have any stories about the Mandarins, comment section down below. Be great to hear your thoughts on that. And in the meantime, this is a short one, but that's kind of what these midweek ones are. Our long, epic, drawn-out episodes at the moment are the podcast. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you very much for watching. And until the next time, as I always say, no matter where you're doing it, no matter how you're doing it, no matter when you're doing it or who you're doing it with, just make sure that when you do it, you march on. And oh, by the way, I said march on. There you go, march on. And oh, by the way, we have a merch store. Buy something, would you? Cheers. Ciao.